Representative Jasmine Full of Crockett, or Madame Ghetto, as she's affectionately known, is at it again, folks. She actually says she's going to investigate Trump. And then watch this clip I'm going to play for you in just a second of her actually saying that the GOP needs to investigate Trump's mental acuity. After everything that's come out about Biden, I'm going to play for you a side-by-side clip. She's acting a fool again. Also, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson celebrating Africa Day on Memorial Day? Whoa. And then Scott Pelley, CBS's 60 Minutes Scott Pelley, goes on a deranged lunatic rant against Trump at a commencement address. Oh boy. But first, you got to see this side by side. What she just said about Trump's mental fitness, and then what she said about Biden's.
It is time for Republicans to start calling him out and start questioning his mental acuity and whether or not he is equipped to serve mentally. Listen, I'm going to tell you this. People tried to talk about the mental acuity of Joe Biden. And as someone who was able to interact with him, I never questioned his mental acuity.
Oh, man, what is up with those eyelashes? I mean, those things could take out some freaking trees, for crying out loud. It's unbelievable to me. After everything that's happened with Fake Tapper, after everything that's come out, that it is well established that we had a vegetable in chief for president, as is totally resulted in what's happened in the last 4 abysmal dark years, what's happened to our economy, our geopolitical standing, the respect that we've lost all over the world, our border, crime, everything, taxes, you name it. Our dollar has gone down, our worth has gone down, our credit has gone down because of this vegetable. We now have conclusive evidence, which is being investigated by James Comer, that the auto pen was really the president. I mean, it's the biggest scandal in the history of our beautiful country, and it needs to be investigated. I'm hoping that Cash and Pam and company in the DOJ will investigate this big time, but it's just like it's an endless train of stupidity from this representative Jasmine Full of Crockett, Madame Ghetto. Check out what she actually says in this next clip. So very smugly and narcissistically, she says, once we win the 2026 primaries, I'm going to investigate President Trump, weaponizing the DOJ just like it was before the election. Watch.
If the Democrats take over after the midterms next year, the House and or Senate, do you think they're going to push for investigations into Trump's family and the whole crypto acquisitions that he is getting?
Well, Alex, I'm glad you asked.
Here we go.
Listen, so long as we end up taking the House, which I fully anticipate that we will do, and we are going to work hard to obviously help our Senate colleagues as well, then as someone who serves on the Oversight Committee and hopes to lead the Oversight Committee, I can guarantee you that we will do what we are supposed to do as constitutionally sworn members of the House, which means that we will conduct oversight. That means that we will investigate. We will look at whether or not this president himself has violated the emoluments clause as it relates to, say, such things as getting a $400 million plane from the Qataris. We also will make sure that we're looking into all these business deals that they have going on. I mean, think about it this way, Alex. They were going after Hunter because he sat on a board. Think about how much money they are raking in, whether we're talking about the next golf resort that they're setting up in Qatar, or whether we're talking about them leveling Gaza, as they've talked about how it would be great beachfront property, whether we're talking about this crypto scam, the scam that people didn't even want to walk into and show their faces. Let me tell you, there is no shortage of things for us to dig into and determine whether or not there have been not only violations of the law, but definitely violations of our Constitution as a whole.
Did you make a little news here? Didn't you say you hope to lead that committee?
I absolutely do. Unfortunately, we are going to lay our dear colleague, Jerry Conley, to rest here on Tuesday. and there will have to be an election to determine who is going to lead the oversight committee. And ultimately, I am hoping and praying that my colleagues see that I can provide what we need as a team to make sure that we can move forward and instill some confidence in the American people by knowing that they have a real fighter who will not back down, even in the face of all the threats that I will have waged at me, because Lord knows I get death threats every single day. But at the end of the day, I truly believe that God will never leave my side. And so I will fight fearlessly and ferociously for the American people.
I have seen some pretty ferocious and self-centered, narcissistic, self-important BSers in my time. I think this one, woo, you just have to sit back in awe. I mean, you notice how they never have a vision, a strategy, a policy idea, any legislation that they want to put forward. They never talk about, they keep saying American people, I'm fighting for this or fighting for that, but which they don't say often, actually, because they're completely consumed with one person, consumed with hatred for just one person and one person alone. And wouldn't you know it, it's the one person that the American people voted for. It's the one person who represents what the American people, the will of the American people, what we wanted and what we voted for on November 5th, 2024. You ever notice, though, how they never, ever, it's always nebulous in general. Oh, we'll do this and American people want this. No, you don't know what American people want. What is your strategy? You had 12 of the last 16 years. We have reached peak levels of poverty, crime, homelessness. We've reached peak levels, the worst border crisis in the history of our country. Thank God we've got Tom Homan and President Trump who are fixing it. We have had the weaponization of the Department of Justice, woke DEI policies that have ruined every vertical, every industry imaginable, let alone our global standing. You erected and elevated a vegetable to run our country who now maybe was a substitute for the auto pen. We don't know. You didn't have a primary. You appointed somebody who was the least qualified individual to ever run for president in Kamala Harris. And we're the ones that should be investigated? And Trump's the one that should be investigated after everything he's been through, after you tried to discredit him, defame him, imprison him, assassinate him. Now you're, instead of like, you know what, we need to put the brakes on. I mean, even your boy Jon Stewart and Bill Maher, even they're like, you guys are nuts. A lot of Democratic strategists, even Van Jones seems to be coming around. Instead of putting the brakes on and being like, hold up, we need to stop just this, all this Trump hate and Hitler talk and constitutional crisis, threat to democracy. Let's come up with a comprehensive strategy and policy and a set of forthcoming legislation that will actually substantively and concretely help the American people. Never. No, they don't do that. And you want to know why? Because they got goose egg. They got Nathan. Not a whole lotta. See ya, wouldn't want to be ya. Hasta la pasta. It's all over, Madame Ghetto. I think a perfect segue into this is this just came out on Memorial Day weekend. Boy, it's bad enough that this guy's city is in absolute tatters with crime reaching levels they haven't seen in decades. Residents in an upheaval. He protects illegal migrants, gives tax-paying benefits, gives credit cards, room and board, free benefits, free food, free shelter to migrants and illegals. And it's a sanctuary city, which is the ultimate crime in America right now. Listen to what he says just yesterday.
Hello, I am Mayor Brandon Johnson, and I am proud to join you in recognizing and celebrating Africa Day. The continent of Africa is made up of 1.2 billion people with diverse countries full of rich traditions, cultures, and heritage. The African diaspora can be found in cities and countries around the globe. And right here in Chicago, our proud African communities have made indelible contributions to the growth and fabric of our amazing city. So this Africa Day, let us take a moment to celebrate the achievements of the people of Africa, the progress made by African nations, and the traditions and culture they have shared with us. And let us also show them that we will embrace and support them as they continue to overcome and face their challenges head on. Thank you, and happy Africa Day, everyone.
I got no problem with you celebrating Africa Day. I have no problem with you celebrating African communities. I have no problem with you celebrating a country's roots and deep heritage and culture, richness of their culture. But we're noticing a real pattern here with this guy. Again, it goes back to kind of what we were talking about last year with Biden. And I always go back to the kind of airline analogy. In order to help your neighbors, in order to help anybody around you in case of emergency, if you want to help your kids, your loved one, your families, put the mask on yourself first, so that way you're able to help them. You've got a city that's in tatters. You've got a city where crime and homelessness is at peak levels. There's nothing wrong with celebrating Africa Day, but for the love of God, take care of your own first. And every time he goes on a press briefing, in an interview, or any kind of press junket, he's always making it about race. Everything is about race. What about representing all communities? What about just actually following suit with what the pioneers of the civil rights movement envisioned, which was a time in our country where we will not be judged by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. This race hustle needs to end. And celebrating this during Memorial Day weekend, and by the way, I haven't heard one thing from the mayor's office. We sent them a notice and an email saying, hey, do you want to comment on this? We didn't get any response. Why don't you guys celebrate the most important people in American history, and that is our fallen brothers and sisters who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for our liberties and freedoms? We got goose egg. Nothing. Maybe I'm reading too into it. Let me know. I'm happy to be wrong. Let me know in the comments. Last but not least, Scott Pelley, 60 Minutes Scott Pelley. This clip has gone viral all over the internet. He gave a commencement address at the University of Wake Forest, and boy, he turned it into Woke Forest. Watch this clip as he just goes on an insane. I don't think I've ever seen. Scott Pelley, to me, is about as animated as a corpse most of the time. I've never seen him like this. I mean, he was gesturing, he was, gesticulating, he was all over the place. Wow.
In this moment, this morning, our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. And insidious fear is reaching through our schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts. The fear to speak in America. Power can rewrite history with grotesque, false narratives. They can make criminals heroes and heroes criminals. Power can change the definition of the words we use to describe reality. Diversity is now described as illegal. Equity is to be shunned. Inclusion is a dirty word. This is an old playbook, my friends. There's nothing new in this.
Hey, Scott, do me a favor. Calm down, okay? Have a seat, have a Diet Coke and a smile, and relax, okay? This is coming from the guy who works at the network that doctored and edited the interview with Kamala Harris so she could sound somewhat sensible and somewhat poignant, which is an absolute joke because there is an amount. I mean, you could have the greatest editor. You could have Martin Scorsese and the greatest editors of all time. There's no way you can doctor up garbage. But literally, they committed literal election interference, not fake Russia, hoax, Hillary Clinton, 2017 through 19, Russia, fake election interference. This is actual election interference by convoluting an interview that had a very strong impact on whether people were going to decide or not. That was really, really close to the election, too, that interview. But my God, I mean, nobody is saying anything about diversity, equity, inclusion. DEI is the emblem of hypocrisy. DEI stands for didn't earn it. When you use words out of context, when you use words to weaponize a system of thought that is blatant discrimination and racism, you're going to get called out on it, okay? And so this ridiculous rant and ridiculous speech, to me, is just the embodiment of the hypocrites. I can't wait to get your thoughts on this. You need to share this. Tap that thumbs up if you love America. It doesn't cost you a thing. You can do it on your TV too with your remote. Just click on that thumbs up. I would really, really appreciate it, because the battle's not over, y'all. We won. We have the greatest commander-in-chief in our lifetime. We have the greatest cabinet we've seen maybe assembled since 1775. The battle may have been won, but the war trudges on, because these guys are never going to stop. I need your help. Share this. Tap the thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you think down below. I can't wait to hear from you. Check out these videos coming up on the screen right here, just in case you missed it. Tap my face right there to subscribe and follow. It's free. And as always, may God bless you, and may God bless the USA and all who defend her. I'll see you soon.